Welcome to Canberra, the capital city of Australia and home to round 1 of the 2003 FIA Asia Pacific Rally Championship. Besides the Rally of Canberra, the series visits New Zealand, Japan, China and Thailand before it reaches its climax in India in early December. 6 rallies, 6 very different challenges. Setting the scene for round 1, the championship's youngest driver. As a local, you're perhaps the best man to tell me about Rally of Canberra. What's so special about the event?
It's just a really good fun event to do. The roads are fantastic and they're really enjoyable to drive. And they're situated so close to a major city as well, which makes it easy for spectator access and the public to get out and see us in action.
Huge bushfires during the Australian summer mean this year's rally will be very different to the one Ed Odinski won last year.
I think it's certainly one of the roughest conditions we've seen here. I don't mind that. You know, I've been in a lot of rough rallies in outback Australia, so hopefully it'll be in our favour. But for sure, the roads have been badly damaged with the bushfires, the temperatures, the very powdery vegetation not holding the roads together terribly well. So they're going to dig up 2 passes, a few horror stretches in there for sure.
Third in 2002 was New Zealand's Jeff Argyle.
Totally different to what it was last year, but yeah, the actual roads themselves are in very good order, so we're looking forward to it.
How do you think you'll get on this weekend?
Oh, we're hoping for a very good result. We were third here last year and with quite a few problems with the running of the car, so yeah, we're looking for definitely in the top 3.
Who are the guys to watch this weekend?
Certainly Cody Crocker and Simon Evans. Their speed is fantastic. Both dominated the previous round of the national championship and both very good internationally. So I think they've both got a big contest against each other. Both got the Subaru honour to uphold. And then I reckon after that there's 6 or 8 of us who will be absolutely line ball.
Another New Zealander in that group is Andrew Hawkeswood in a Subaru.
My biggest priority this weekend is just to finish. You know, the worst thing I can do is what happened last year and try and get caught up in a fight with the local guys. We're just here to do our Asia Pacific thing, and that's final.
So the championship is more important to you than what actually happens on the rally this weekend?
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
Jeff, traditionally the Asia Pacific Championship's been dominated by the New Zealanders, the Australians, the Japanese, but there are a lot more Europeans around this year. Why do you think that is?
I think of the costs involved with doing the World Championship, people are looking at some of the regional series, and that'll make the Asia Pacific grow and grow over the next couple of years.
The Asia Pacific Championship is run to the so-called Super Rally regulations, which give bonus points at the end of each day and allow drivers who've retired to restart, even though they won't be allowed to compete for overall honours.
It rewards guys that finish consistently, and it also gives you a second chance. You know, like last year we crashed out on the 2nd day and we started on the 3rd day. Unfortunately we crashed out again, but you know, we had an opportunity there to score some more bonus points, so it's really good.
The reigning Asia Pacific Production Cup champion, Nico Calderola from Italy, led the crews over the start ramp and into the first day. 6 stages made up the day, with stages 1 and 2 repeated as 3 and 4, with 2 sprints around a crowd-pleasing super special to round off leg 1. Last year's overall Asia Pacific champion, Karanjit Singh from Malaysia, was a non-starter in Australia, so it was left to the number 2 seeds, Calderola and co-driver Paolo Caccini, to run first on the road. Their Mitsubishi, however, wasn't among the early pace setters. Neither was the number 4 car of Germany's Armin Kramer and Fred Beersen, making their debut in the series. The pair were only 10th quickest on stage 1, but thoughts were already starting to turn to stage 2, which included the daunting Mineshaft.
Back auf. In rechts. In rechts voll lang.
Stage 2, the Mineshaft. What's this all about?
The Mineshaft is fantastic. It's just an awesome piece of road. Basically, you come up over a little crest and it turns into this huge drop off, and they liken it to a mineshaft. It's near vertical, and if you take it any faster than sort of 50 or 60 k an hour, you get some serious air.
Very spectacular for the spectators.
It's been pretty spectacular for the co-driver. What does it look like from your side of the car?
I don't know, I closed my eyes.
But the husband and wife team wouldn't even reach the Mineshaft. Brace yourselves, we're about to show you their entire rally.
3, 2, 1, go. 50 fast right 3, then flat right over crest, then flat left, flat right over crest, then flat left into fast right 1.
Oh, you're joking, we're jammed in 5th.
Left one long, tightens to 1.5. Then fast right 2. And fast right 2.5 through gate 100. Just get through, Dale.
We're not going to get through.
The broken gearbox meant retirement for the pair less than a kilometre into stage 1. The huge crowds at the Mineshaft still had other Australians to cheer, however. Cody Crocker's Subaru was in second place after stage 2. But fastest on both of the first 2 stages was Finland's Juha Kangas, and he headed for service back in Canberra with a lead of just under 3 seconds. Another of the European drivers wasn't so fortunate. Stage 2 saw David Doppelreiter from Austria take an unplanned diversion.
Left plus, into right plus. Coming in. Opens 30. Tightens 2 over. Keep it out. Oh my God. We go down there. Go down there? Yeah. Careful with the ruts here. There. Oh, you did it so close. Down, straight. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. Oh. Just go. Forget it. Go! You need to go gas. Oh. Now we're stuck. Yeah, but you cannot be too soft.
We hit the stone inside a very narrow corner, and suddenly we went off the road, and there was no chance to come back on the stage. So we got stuck a little bit, I think more than 3 minutes.
You picked a TV camera to do it in front of.
Yeah, there was a TV crew in very narrow, very close to us, and help, and the whole crew was coming and helped a lot. That's the reason why we are still in the race. If we are just 2 people, it's a little bit hard to push a 1300 kilo car around the corner.
Problems too for Doppelreiter's teammate, Germany's Armin Kramer, when a piece of his car's heating system fell under his pedals on stage 2. That left Japan's Fumio Nutahara to lead the Asia-Pacific contenders back to service by less than a second from Jeff Argyle. The rally leader, meanwhile, had a 2.9 second advantage over second-placed Cody Crocker. Yet another rally where a Finn is leading. What is it with Finns?
I don't know, maybe they don't have nothing else to do, so we're just driving in there.
Cody, not a bad start to the rally.
Yeah, have to be happy with that. We had a flat tyre at the last 5Ks of the second stage, so we lost a little bit of time there. How much we don't know. It didn't seem to be too bad, but might have been a few seconds. So I'm pretty happy the tyres did a good job. It's extremely slippery, but you got to live with that. That's as much grip as you're given, so you work with it.
Armin, a good morning's work.
Yes, but I think we drive the first stage a little bit slowly. There's a lot of loose gravel off the road. The second stage we have a little bit problem at. This was the plastic blower come under my feet, and I cannot push the throttle, so that I think a little bit lose time. And but for the moment we are in a good way for the rally.
Stages 3 and 4 were reruns of 1 and 2, but the second run through the Mineshaft saw the end of Nico Caldarola's challenge when a heavy landing damaged the Lancer's radiator.
Chiude le piante. Indosso dritto vai. E dosso dritto sinistra 7. E dosso dritto salto, indosso e subito attenzione tornante sinistro sabbia. Figa.
Corre ragazzi! Vecchie fanciulle! Buona parrucca! Brusca barba! Buona sanguigna! Presto dietro, tutti mi vogliono! Buona parrucca, preso la barba, preso il biglietto! Ehi,
The local spectators, of all shapes and sizes, were enjoying the action. 2 of the biggest crowd pleasers were the little Suzukis. Chris Atkinson would end stage 4 in 16th place, while his German teammate Niki Scheller would be 1 place higher up the leaderboard, to the obvious delight of their boss.
What do we think of Nicholas Scheller?
In 6th place and leading the Asia-Pacific contenders was Jeff Argyle's Mitsubishi, although it had been a frustrating day.
We had problems in the first stage. The electronic control valve wasn't working with the boost, so we're only on 0.9 of a bar rather than 1.5, so we're well down on horsepower. But in the last two, we took a big gamble and went through on muds, and it's paid off really well for us. I think we were third quickest in the last one, so yeah, the tyres pulled us through rather than the car.
Last year's winners, Ed Ordinsky and co-driver Ian Stewart, were fifth, 35 seconds or so off the leaders, and so well aware that they'd have a battle on their hands to make up that lost time. With Possum Bourne still in hospital following a serious accident, the Subaru team were in sombre mood. 2 cars in the top 4 meant there were a few smiles in the camp, however, with Dean Herridge in 4th place, challenging Scott Pedder for 3rd. There were actually 2 Pedders on the event, with Scott's older brother Mark back in 13th place, driving the car Scott had used on last year's Australian Championship. Cody Crocker in the other Subaru Team Australia Impreza was in 2nd place after stage 4. He'd been consistently quick all day, 2nd fastest, 4th, 2nd and finally 4th again, but the man ahead of him had been even more consistent. Juha Kangas quickest on all 4 stages. His spectacular style down the Mineshaft meant even the local spectators were now cheering on the young Finn.
I think the trophy has just changed hands.
At service before the 2 super specials, Calderola's car arrived, the Italian clearly unsure whether he'd be able to restart leg 2.
In the big jump, the 5 gearbox, broken the radiator, water, and broken the power, temperature 150. I don't know, starting tomorrow.
Is the engine damaged?
Yes, I don't know.
And so to the pair of super special stages which would round off the day. The only change to the leaderboard on the Super Specials was that Herridge squeezed past Pedder to grab 3rd place, leaving Kangas to lead the rally from Crocker and Argyle to claim 3 points as the leading Asia-Pacific Championship driver. An incident-packed start to the Rally of Canberra then, but there's plenty more action still to come. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Rally of Canberra, round 1 of the FIA Asia-Pacific Rally Championship. 9 stages made up day 2, a batch of 3 repeated with yet another run through the day's opening stage, and then 2 more thrashes around the head-to-head super special.
Yeah, yesterday was good. I'm leading now by 10 seconds, but now first car on the road, so we'll see what's happening.
We don't know what the stage is like because it's all new roads for us, so we've used this area but not in this particular pattern, so we'll see. You know, we're going to follow his marks and hopefully we can make some time on in that way, but we've got to be a bit cautious, I think.
Morning, Ed. Happy with your road position this morning?
Yes, I mean, it's fortuitous. It's not by deliberately holding back or anything. You know, I had a big go yesterday. Not quite carrying enough speed to be with the front runners, but we'll see what happens today.
As rally leader, Juha Kangas was the first to tackle the stage, and his fears about being first on the road were proved right. 2nd fastest on stage 7, then 3rd quickest on 8, and 4th on 9 meant the Finn would have dropped to 2nd place by the time the crews headed for service. Cody Crocker was the man who benefited from Kangas' misfortune. Fastest on stages 7 and 9, it was the Subaru driver who led the rally when the cars returned to Canberra.
9 right, 70 small crest, 35 right.
Dean Herridge made it a Subaru clean sweep when he set the quickest time on stage 8. Scott Pedder, though, struck back on stage 9, clawing back the 8 seconds or so he'd dropped to Herridge on the previous 2. The flapping rear bodywork shows just how hard Pedder was trying. The fight for 3rd place was still as close as ever. Behind that scrap, Ordinsky was dropping back. Quick to acknowledge that he didn't have the speed of the men ahead of him, the Mitsubishi driver lost around 23 seconds to the leader on just those 3 stages.
Cody are now leading a good morning's work.
Yeah, great. I think we chose the right tyres. They seem to work really well. It didn't get too hot. They overheated a little bit, I think, and got a bit slippery, but we took time off Juha, so that's the important thing.
It's turning into quite a battle. 3 Australians and a Finn.
Oh, he's a token Australian, I suppose.
But that token Australian, together with his British co-driver Julia Rabbit, was about to bow out of the rally. Stage 10, a repeat of the stage Cody Crocker predicted would be tough.
30. Oh, you are!
I just got one corner too much in somewhere and we roll over once, so windscreen damage, so we can't continue anymore.
There was no hope of getting the car going again?
Yeah, we drive this car to the end, but yeah, it was possible, but not safety because windscreen was so bad condition, so not so good idea.
Another driver who wouldn't see out the day was Andrew Hawkswood. He'd retired on last year's Rally of Canberra and so was determined to get a good result this year.
80 uphill, slippy.
Hitting that Ford a little too quickly, however, meant the radiator was damaged and the New Zealanders' rally came to a premature end.
Yeah, the Ford in east-west, about 5 k's in, we hit it a little bit too hard and damaged the radiator and unfortunately wrecked the engine. So we pulled the engine out in an attempt to try and get going for tomorrow and get some bonus points, but it's quite badly damaged, so we packed it up.
Yeah, it seems unusual to see a driver get his hands dirty. Everybody was in there helping.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had to get the job done, so we've only got 4 guys here, so we've only got a skeleton crew.
So no points for another of the Asia-Pacific competitors, while there were no such problems for Fumio Nutahara. The Japanese driver found himself leading the APRC battle by the time the rally headed for the 2 Super Specials. After scoring the first 3 bonus points of the season on leg 1, Jeff Argyle was confident he'd pick up 3 more at the end of leg 2. Luck, however, wasn't on his side, and a damaged turbo pipe meant he dropped behind Nutahara on the afternoon's forestry stages. The pair would tackle the 2 Super Specials, separated by a little under 3 seconds. Armin Kramer, meanwhile, was third, a further 15 seconds or so behind that battle. There was then a long gap back to the 4th placed Asia-Pacific contender, Chris Atkinson.
Wide 5 left on crest.
Chris, this little Suzuki's been embarrassing a lot of the 4-wheel drive machinery. How's it going?
Yeah, great. We're surprised how we're going, considering how easy we're taking it, and I guess that's a testament to the machine and how it's going.
You enjoying yourself?
Yeah, it's great fun. That last stage was brilliant. Towards the end, we're on the limit at 200k an hour flat for like a k, and it just screams. It sounds brilliant.
200. Brake wide 6 left open.
The news wasn't all good for Suzuki, however, since by now Atkinson was on his own.
Crest map 60, attention crest outside for crest 5, 190. 50, crest right for crossover, crest long, 90. Lost the wheel.
The wheel had indeed come off Scheller's Ignis, and the German was out. In all, Cody Crocker was fastest on 3 of the 7 forestry stages and headed for the Super Specials with a lead of around 14 seconds. Scott Pedder, though, was quicker than Crocker on 2 of the others, snatching back around 20 seconds in the process. The fight for victory, it seemed, was set to go down to the wire. Dean Herridge was now around 45 seconds behind Crocker, but knew any slight mistake by the pair ahead would bring him back into contention. At the Super Specials, all eyes were on Nutahara and Argyle. The Kiwi did claw back some time, but it wasn't enough, and just 1.7 seconds stopped him from claiming another 3 bonus points. This was how things stood at the end of leg 2, the top 4 fighting for points in the Australian Championship, with Nutahara and the frustrated Argyle rounding off the top 6. The final day dawned cloudy, with the threat of rain hanging in the air. 7 final stages would decide the rally. Like day 2, there were in fact just 3 stages, with the first used 3 times, all in the Cowan Forestry Complex to the east of Canberra, with a service area set up in the heart of the forest. Tyre choice for the predicted rain, it seemed, was the topic on everyone's minds.
Is there a plan of attack today, or is it just flat out?
yeah, just try and catch 13 seconds. You know, like we proved yesterday that we could on a couple of stages. The only problem is that the soft, sandy Green Hills stage we couldn't catch Cody, and that's pretty similar to the surface here. So we'll see how we go on the first three and then make our mind up from there.
45 is a fair gap if he has a good run, but never say never in this game, and the Cowan Forest is notoriously a bit of a car breaker, so as long as we can keep the pressure up and keep Scotty sort of on his toes as well, only going to take a small mistake or a small little problem and we can be there, so definitely haven't given up.
Morning, Cody, the pressure's really on now.
The pressure's on Scotty to catch us. We're right, we were out in front, so you know, you want to win, you got to be in front somewhere, don't you? So yeah, we know what we've got to do today, and I think if we just keep the same pace as yesterday, we'll be right. I think we've got a bit of an advantage we can use at some places on these stages, so if we use it, then we should be right.
That confidence seemed justified. Crocker stormed off into the first batch of stages, setting the fastest time on all of the three to effectively double his lead over Scott Pedder. Despite rumours of an engine problem with Pedder's car, Crocker's Subaru teammate Dean Harridge couldn't make up any ground on the Mitsubishi driver and looked to have settled for third place. Ed Ordinsky, on the other hand, was losing ground thanks to a puncture on the day's third stage. He now had one eye on the times of the men behind him.
Were you surprised that you managed to keep Argyle behind you yesterday?
Argyle? Little bit. Trace, full attack. Maximum attack.
Maximum attack?
Yeah.
Can you get past Nutahara?
Oh yeah, quite easily. Yes, like the last big stage yesterday, I think we took 16 seconds out of him, so yeah, we can do that. It's just a matter of driving to a conservative pace to make sure everything goes well.
The focus was now on the thrilling three-way scrap for Asia-Pacific honours. By his own admission, Nutahara was on maximum attack, but was 0.7 of a second slower than Argyle on the opening stage. On the next, Argyle was again faster and moved back into the lead, but his incredible run of bad luck returned on the third stage when brake problems caused him to leave the road briefly and so drop around 10 seconds.
All right, don't cut, don't go wide.
So Armin Kramer was now ahead of Argyle, but the German driver was struggling for grip in the muddy conditions.
I think when we go in the fast stage, then we have no problem. But when you go in the narrow stage with narrow corners, then you have much problem with traction.
Jeff, you lost a lot of time on that one. What happened?
We've taken a rear brake line off, unfortunately, so we're only running on front brakes, and that made us go off the road once.
So you're back to third now in APRC. Can you recover?
We hope so. Get the car right again, then have a bit of a charge through these other three stages and see what happens.
The second run through those stages saw all three APRC drivers increase their pace. Kramer was clearly on a charge and passed Nutahara to move into the lead. But Argyle then stormed through stage 21 to once again move ahead, but incredibly just 1/10 of a second would separate the pair going into the final stage.
One more stage to go, 1/10 of a second between you and Argyle. What's going to happen?
Yeah. We must see what we can do. We go maximum attack and we will see what is with the car. We must change suspension, and I hope that we can go attack.
We seem to be able to pull back in front of them, and then we have another silly little niggling problem that puts us back behind, so we're just hoping for a clean run through the last stage, and we're quite confident.
Behind all the excitement, 10th place overall meant Chris Atkinson was the fourth of the Asia-Pacific contenders. A great drive. Nutahara settled for third and 6 points, although thanks to the Super Rally system he also picked up a total of 6 bonus points. Kramer stormed off into the final stage. Now it was all or nothing. It was almost as though the previous 2.5 days had never happened.
Have you done enough to win?
I don't know in the moment, but we are very fast. I think we have a good time.
Argyle set off into stage 22 with the slimmest of leads, but once again Jeff's amazing run of bad luck intervened, and a puncture meant precious 1/10 of a second were lost.
Kramer did a 4:20.6. I think he's beaten you.
Never mind, that's the way it goes.
You had a good run.
Yep.
Last year's winner, Ed Ordinsky, had to settle for 4th place, relieved to finish just 0.2 of a second ahead of Kramer in the end. The first of the podium places went to Dean Harridge at the end of an emotional weekend for the Subaru team. No matter how well they were doing, their thoughts were clearly with their badly injured teammate, Possum Bourne. Scott Pedder finished second, never giving up on his fight to catch Cody Crocker right until the end. Cody and co-driver Greg Folletta, though, had hardly put a wheel wrong all weekend and were clearly delighted at the victory.
Almost there. Woo! That's it. That's it. Woo!
Cody, congratulations. Nice drive.
Yeah, thanks very much. Very happy about that.
It says on the back of the car you were doing this for Possum. Have you got any message for him?
You know, we wanted to win. You know, internally I just wanted to win for Possum, and the team sort of said, no, look, just keep focused on the event, and that's what we've done. And now that's done, this one's for Possum.
Confirmation of the result then, with Crocker finishing just over 34 seconds ahead of Pedder, and Kramer taking the honours in the Asia Pacific Championship by just 0.7 of a second after an unbelievable final day. With bonus points up for grabs for the fastest 3 each day, remember, this is how the APRC leaderboard looks after round 1. Kramer has a slender lead, but the championship has a long, long way to go. What better way to end than with this champagne spraying? From Canberra, goodbye.